All right, everybody. Good morning or good afternoon, depending on when you're watching this. My name is Andrew Long, and I am going to do an overview or implementation and evaluation, I believe it's called, of this unit I've created. Okay, so some things you're supposed to touch on here: my communication structures, the SEL strategies I covered in the course, the standards, the assessment, and then my student reactions, and then revisions I would make. So, going over here, obviously we've all had to use Google Classroom as our learning management system. So for communication structures, what we did with this example is we used a Google Meet. I had texted everybody the code to go through since I had my friends do it. But obviously, in a real classroom, you have to have more detail. Again, I'm sure we are all well familiar with this process, but usually you can have a Google Meet code right here where everybody can click onto that and it'll go from there. The alternative is just to have them have a code. I just used long world history, put in a Google Meet, and they met through there. So for any synchronous work we had to do on any of the days, that's how we did it. Now, introduction PowerPoint again, who am I, stuff like that. That was asynchronous. Okay. Day one, go to the instructions real quick. So asynchronous, they had to complete the prior knowledge worksheet, right? So go through, tell me what do they know about the Holocaust and Anne Frank? Because again, what I did for this was I wanted them to gain a perspective of different people throughout the Holocaust. Okay, learn about what perspective is, what's perspective and bias. I also had us do a thing based off of empathy, as I believe one of the classmates suggested I do. I didn't put it in here, but I did share that out with the class. So the focus of that is build community. Okay, so when we're in a synchronous classroom situation, it's face to face as far as virtual goes. You can see everyone's face, icons. I utilize breakout rooms to kind of break the two. There was 4 people, but obviously in a different group you'd have more. But so I divided them up into 2 and 2 so they could have discussion, foster community, stuff like that. And that kind of segues really well into SEL and how am I employing social and emotional learning strategies that we've covered. So the breakout rooms, again, the biggest thing for me in this was the relationships aspect of this. I wanted to build a community and foster these relationships. That's a focus I have in my everyday class, is focus I wanted to have for this unit. So I wanted to make sure that it really helped build that student relationships, because the activity I wanted to do here to create the perspectives also has to do with those relationships, that part of social and emotional learning. So that was really my focus here. So for the standards, so organization, it's well organized. It's laid out day by day, tells you what to do. The course syllabus itself, it has all the things that we wanted to, right? It has the email, how to contact, description, objectives, expectations and requirements, the resources you're going to need, the grading policy, behavior, participation, the codes for all the Google Classrooms, how to submit work, remind codes, the process for making up work, and then tech support and office hours. So that's all right there, and it kind of goes hand in hand with the who am I, the introduction PowerPoint, to kind of let them know who I was. Obviously, in this case, they're my friends. They know who I am. But for the students, if I did it for a student situation, we stress that you need to build that relationship and open yourself up to the students, right? Explanation, each assignment comes with directions. The beginning, the top of the worksheet also has individual directions telling them exactly what they need to do. As far as examples, I realized pretty late in the process that I should have given more examples. I gave an example for the final assessment, right? So for the big one, this perspectives letter, I have included, actually, I'm sorry, it's in day 4. My apologies. I've included an example I've got the rubric, I've got everything that we need there, but the only example I provided was for the fourth day. So yes, I did it, but that's definitely something I could do, which I'll discuss later under revisions. Um, Guided assessment, again, you got the worksheets, you got the things that kind of get them where I want them to go, the readings and stuff like that. To make it a little easier, get jigsaw perspectives, so you can go through here. They were assigned a um, how do I phrase that? I'm sorry, certain perspective letter, and then they work around, go through each other. So I had it guided in that sense. And again, the other thing that I would change and a reaction as far as revisions then later would be the practice. I kind of fell short on that standard. So that's definitely something to focus on moving forward. Um, the assessments, worksheets, and the letter. So each day, with the exception of day 5, I had a worksheet for them to complete that I would then look at and make sure that they understood what was being learned that day. And then the letter, that was the biggest thing. So the whole point of this was to understand relationships. And if you can understand empathy and you can get that relationship perspective down, then you can understand other students' emotions. It helps lend to a better community and better student relationships. So the main assessment here was they were to create their own letter as if they were living in the Holocaust. However, it wasn't just that. They could also be someone hiding. It could be someone that was hiding someone else. It could be a Nazi soldier. You could do any. The point of it was to get the perspective of somebody else, because if you understand that, you're going a long way to understanding relationships. And that demonstrated, at least from the SEL standpoint, their learning. Reactions. One, my friends liked it. Obviously, I didn't choose any teachers, so they said that they enjoyed it. One thing they noticed, that there was no practice, right? So that is something that I would definitely go through when it comes to revisions. What would I change? I would add more practice for each of these topics. So maybe on day 3, as the day before we start writing the letter, try to include a smaller writing activity designed to take on the perspective of somebody else, so you can get that other perspective. But overall, they said they really enjoyed it. It was nice to gain that perspective and kind of take a step back away from what they've always thought. They definitely enjoyed that process. So I think it would definitely work well for the students, especially once I make those changes, once I allow for more practice and allow students to kind of work with the material before they're being judged on it. So that is my evaluation of my unit, so a 5-day unit on perspective. I had a lot of fun making this, and I fully plan on utilizing this next school year because it's really good resources. And I want to thank Dr. Dreon for allowing us to use for showing us the OERs, right? Having that access, defining this material, because it really helps us as educators find new resources, right? Things like Project Gutenberg and stuff like that. But that has been my analysis. Thank you for watching and have a great rest of your day. Bye.